In the past, I've tried getting into competitive Pokemon, but with the extensive grinding and in-game currency required just to get the right stats, I've always felt barred from it in any official capacity. So now that Pokémon Champions has released, I felt it was a great chance to finally really dive into the competitive side of Pokemon. I have tried competitive training on and off throughout the years. I started during Gen 6, but I purposely went the wrong way when it came to EV training my Pokemon. Then in Gens 8 and 9, I tried, and that was really fun, but costly and not really worth the grinding. But like I said previously, Champions has streamlined the training part of competitive, and I've been able to experiment with all sorts of teams and learn more about the competitive side of Pokemon. And today, I wanted to share my journey to Ultra Ball tier. Just a fair warning to all of you people watching that actually have played competitive and know a heck of a lot more than me. My teams aren't the most optimal or the best, so if you have any advice you'd like to give me in the comments, I'd really appreciate it. Like Wolfie VGC said, Pokemon battling is all about having fun, and that's what I mostly focused on when team building. Since the start of my run in Champions, I've been using Pokemon I've used in my previous playthroughs throughout the years, and it's been really fun. Of course, that's probably because I've mostly stuck to two Megas, Meganium and Dragonite. We'll get to Dragonite later though, as Mega Meganium helped teach me what types of teams I should be using. At first, I tried using Ampharos with Helping Hand, and while it was fun, I quickly found myself losing to Tailwind setups as my Pokemon would get outsped like crazy. This ended up giving me the deep-seated hatred pros in the competitive scene have for Whimsicott and Incineroar. As a result, this led me to try and make a team to counter Tailwind, that being Trick Room, Galarian, Slowbro. I still haven't gotten around to playing the Sword and Shield DLC, but I have played Legend ZA. After all, that's where I got my Meganium. And in ZA, there's a questline that leads to you getting a Galarian Slowpoke that you can evolve nicknamed Spicy. Spicy is who I chose for my Trick Room setup. This is because he's got a great special attack stat and is pretty bulky to boot. Plus, a lot of people tend to forget he's not a water type. He's Poison Psychic, which tends to do really well into an unaware Sneasler, aka the devil! Of course, he does lose his water stab, so a couple of fire types are able to survive his Hydro Pump. So, I added Aggron to the mix for ice or fire types, and to maybe get a flinch off. Along with keeping Ampharos in the team for flying types or Mega Evolving it in situations where Mega Meganium just wasn't the most optimal strat. I also added a Glaceon in for dragons, and the last one in the party is a Rotom, mainly because I just couldn't figure out what else to add. The setup worked relatively well, but it would sometimes backfire, either due to lack of damage, leading my opponents to stall at the Trick Room, or my Mega Meganium wouldn't be one of the first to move because he was faster than some of the slower Pokemon on my opponent's team. Thankfully, as I was still in the lower Great Ball tier, my opponents would either focus my other Pokemon, ignoring Meganium, or go for setups resulting in them getting one-tapped with my Meganium Solar Beam or Weather Ball, since a lot of people didn't realize Weather Ball is always going to be fire when used by Mega Meganium. This team helped me get up to the higher Great Ball tiers, but I did see the writing on the wall, and realized that this team might not be the best for getting to Ultra Ball tier, which led me to my next team. At the start, I did end up swallowing my pride, and I did try using Whimsicott as a setup for Tailwind. However, I quickly realized this wasn't going to be the best, especially since it meant having two Grass Fairy types on my team. I did end up seeing a really good guide for a weather-based team with two of the most important members being Pelipper with the ability Drizzle, and a special attack Mega Dragonite. This guy recommended some other mons to round it out, but I ended up deciding to use some different Pokemon for this team instead. At first, I did try using a Tinkaton, but her damage stat was sorely lagging, which left my team also lacking. Anyway, my other four members ended up being her superior. Meganium in matches where Dragonite was heavily countered, Raichu for the guaranteed Thunder and the outspeed and Drizzle Tailwind, and lastly, Blastoise to deal with Flyers, Fires, and Dragon types, as I knew Pelipper would quickly get knocked out since people really have it out for him for some reason. While yes, I do have a couple types overlapping, it actually ended up working out really well. It just requires a lot more thinking than my Trick Room team did. For example, say I send out Pelipper first. Unfortunately, one of the common teams right now is Mega Charizard Y with Venusaur. This immediately counters my rain-based team. A great way to flip the counter in my favor though is to avoid sending out Pelipper first. What I do is I switch out one of my first two Pokemon with Pelipper on the second turn. This ends up countering the drought Mega Charizard Y brings, and allows my Blastoise to obliterate the opposing Charizard with a Muddy Water or Hydro Pump, especially since, even if Charizard Y outspeeds, he can't one-shot with Solar Beam, as he'll now need to turn to charge, or he'll use Heat Wave, whatever, but it's weaker due to Pelipper's Drizzle. This does, however, often cause my opponents to switch out their Charizard in hopes of bringing them back in to cancel my Drizzle for their Drought. This causes me to often do the same because if my Pelipper goes down, then Charizard is free to run rapid with his Drought boosted Solar Beam and Heat Wave. Luckily, in situations like this, Charizard tends to go down fast because of Pelipper's Water Ball, along with Venusaur going down fast too thanks to my Mega Dragonite's Hurricane. Sometimes though, I'll switch out my Pelipper for Raichu so they can hit guaranteed Thunders. The Rain Weather also helps my superior survive at least one turn so I can start spamming Leaf Storm. Honestly, wish the move hit both targets, but that would probably be too OP. Oh, and yes, my superior does have the hidden ability Contrary, so special attack actually increases instead of going down. My Tailwind Rain team was the last team I had in the higher grade ball tiers, and it was what finally led me to hitting the Ultra Ball rank. I'm sure that isn't considered high tier for a lot of you, but for me personally, it was really fun climbing to this goal. As someone who's been an outside observer with the memes competitive Pokemon has, I've learned a lot about it pretty quick, and I'm hoping to learn more about it and maybe even hit Master Ball rank by the end of the season. I know Pokémon Champions isn't perfect. After all, it only has 180 Pokemon and only a couple of items, but the way I see it, they'll absolutely add more stable items and Pokemon in later seasons. After all, I can't help but feel Champions was released with the fewer items and Pokemon so the beginners like me could have an easier time getting into competitive. Maybe that's not the case, but it's how I view it. I hope you enjoyed the video if you made it this far, and I hope you have a fantastic day or night. Until next time, bye bye!